And so that kind of progressed and progressed to where I discovered your group. And so now I've really, something happened the second time I came where it went, you described those levels, right? It kind of jumped almost two levels in one evening. I just suddenly felt deeper and deeper and deeper. And I felt joy, tranquility, peace. And that it had already started changing my life up until that point. My beliefs, I don't work in the semiconductor industry anymore. I've got a completely different lifestyle. Um, so my belief system started changing. But now in the last month, I I don't get stressed. I
Know about meditation or whatever you think meditation is supposed to look like. So I was just kind of practicing that. Um, Still following your instruction, but letting go of an idea of like, oh, well, this isn't going to work because I feel a little bit anxious or like I'm not doing it right or whatever. Just letting go of like thinking that breathing or paying attention to a certain thing should feel a certain way. And I feel like a lot of stuff happened because like I was very alert. So and it's also strange because it's kind of difficult to remember exactly what happened. Um, but towards the end, I really had this. It's interesting because I'm like reading these books and hearing like you teach, and there's stuff that people say that I have an intuitive sense of like, oh, that must be true. But then I get a felt sense of it and it feels different than I expected. But yesterday it was like I had a felt sense of um everything that I was experiencing didn't have anything to do with me, or it didn't belong to me, basically. And like there was a lot of noise going on in my house, and it was interesting because I had this experience where I heard, I think my brother was singing in the other room or something. And the sound of him singing and my reaction to him singing, like noticing that he was singing. Like normally when you hear something, there's like the stimulus, whatever it is, and then you and your reaction to it, and your reaction to it is quite close to you. It was like the stimulus and the reaction were closer to each other than they were to me. I felt like separated from everything that was happening, and I guess in space is the best way to explain it. And then I also had, yeah, just a sense of things not belonging to me. It is the best way to explain it. And then I'm really interested in when you mention the space behind you. I feel like I've just not really sensed anything back there. But yesterday I was sitting on the floor with my window open behind me, and there was a lot of noise going on back there. And that I feel like that really helped me like go to the back and like follow the noises behind me into the quiet. Um, and I was trying to let go of everything that I thought meditation was supposed to be. So like if I felt like I wanted to move, I would just move. If I had an itch, I would just itch it. Like I wouldn't make it into a whole mental scene. I would just, you know, let it be and move on. So, um, yeah, I think I was in there longer than I've ever been in there. And it was interesting to see because it's if I kind of feel like it must be some kind of balance between alert and completely relaxed. And I feel like I fell a little bit more on the alert end, and it was interesting to see what happened. It was just interesting to see what happened, I guess, was what the feeling was. And
Yeah.
it's nice to be in that space.
Okay. Now the best thing you said was that really the I can't even remember kind of a thing, that really the
Mm,
experience there was something. So that's the best part of it. Because you don't need to remember it. Actually, now, even right now, when you are trying to explain, I know you are trying to recall what has happened and then try to explain it. So it's not really helping anyway. I know that
yeah.
really it's and then it's not the same word that really you're talking about. And interestingly, that really you mentioned that when you are at the window, you were more behind, in the sense that
Mm,
really. So that was not during the meditation, right? You are just out there, and then you're just
mm,
people are, yeah. So that is the meditation itself is kind of a, don't think that as a separate thing, because it will now when you go into deeper that absorption, it'll be your day-to-day life. Alex, you know the experience as well. What do you have
Y-
anything to add? And then,
Yeah, so
yeah.
it was something that in a similar way to you, Grace, that I noticed not during my initial experience, but in one of the subsequent really deep meditations that I was in, where that was when I had this realization that there was a separation between when a thought came into my head, that the thought first came in, but then I registered it and processed it in the time after it had already come into my head. And so when you're saying that you started hearing your brother singing, and then you had this distance from actually like the realization of hearing him sing kind of thing, that's something that I've felt very similar, where it's a thing happens and then it comes in, but then it's separately processed at some kind of distance from the actual event itself.
Are you talking about, does it feel more like physical distance for you? Because I think when you first explained this, I've heard you mention that before, and I was thinking that you meant like there was some passage of time between a thought coming in and your mind like narrating it to you.
Yeah, I'm not necessarily saying that it's a physical distance per se. It's something that it felt like there was a time processing difference
Mhm.
between it, at least in the moment that I was sitting there and having this kind of realization. But then it, as it's kind of left with me, has been something where there is a not quite a physical distance, but something where it is noticeably separated by this space, by
Yeah.
this spaciousness, right?
Yeah. That's exactly what it felt like.
Yeah, like almost like your brain takes this time to realize something as it comes into your head and has this process, but because there's this spacious distance between everything, if it's something that it's not a physical thought, it's almost like the thing has to travel this distance and then process, and then you're able to actually relate to what it is, like a multi-step process almost.
That's interesting. That's interesting. Yeah, I'm interested to like hopefully experience that again and get more details about it. Thank you.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
But don't really think about that too much, Grace, because so if you are trying to analyze it, it's not you are still engaged with your mind. So once you are experiencing it, just let that to happen, like what you did on the last, I mean, the meditation. And but later on, of course, when we are discussing, we can just figure that out. Oh, this is what happened to me,
Yeah, because I
kind
think
of
that
thing.
was my biggest distraction yesterday is that something would happen and I would have the thought like, oh, what is that? Because I want to tell NT afterwards what
No,
just
no,
happened.
don't.
Like, I know I'm not supposed to do that, but I would like get excited. So
No, think about that. Even
point taken.
yeah, even now when you said that really I can't remember all that, that's I said it's good thing. You don't need to remember because it's kind of experience, but you might realize the next time when you see that, oh, this is what is happening now and it's happening
Mhm.
again now, kind of thing. That's okay. But rather than thinking about it, and then you don't have to explain it as well. I wanted to highlight a couple of things that really Grace you are experiencing. So when you say that really you have been there, I mean, on the meditation, it was more than an hour, right? But how about the physical feeling on that? I just want to get your feedback on that. Whether you had any time you need to, you were thinking of changing your posture or anything, or did you have any difficulties sitting
Yeah.
in your
Yeah,
office?
I was sitting on the floor cross-legged. Um, And inevitably my legs start to go numb like after an hour. So I think I would like switch how I think I switched how my legs were crossed like 2 or 3 times, but it was easy to just go back in.
Mm.
It's strange because I like as I'm meditating every day, like it changes what part of my body is bothering me. And I think I don't know. Maybe it's just
Mm.
something I watch and it will go away, or maybe I'm sitting strangely, but right now I have this tension right here in this part of my shoulder. I suspect it's the way I'm holding my neck.
Mm.
But like I'll move and it will get very warm, like as it relaxes. That was the strongest physical sensation I was feeling was the tension here, and then I'd move it and it would relax. And I could
Mm.
feel it very strongly every time I moved it.
Gavin, if you can give a little introduction about yourself and then the same time your experience so far. So those are the two things we would like to explain.
Yeah, my name's Gavin. I'm originally from London, UK. I've been in England been in the USA for 17 years. I'll be quite open. I have struggled with substance addiction pretty much all my life. Had a very traumatic childhood, and then quite a few traumatic instances. But I've always been high functioning. I've always held a very, very good career. Um, and so I've kind of managed that. Well, about 2.5 years ago, it all came to a crux, and I was in a very, very dark place, and I put myself into a rehabilitation center. And I was in there for 90 days, and part of the rehabilitation was meditation every morning. And I'd never done that before.
Mhm.
So I really got into meditating. It was guided meditation. But even then, within like 3 weeks of doing it every day, I got to a point where my posture was dead upright. My body didn't hurt. I could shut off noise quite easily. Noise wouldn't distract me. I was still having the monkey brain a little bit, but outside influences wouldn't create my monkey brain. It was purely internal. Um, and then about a year ago, I discovered a thing called Recovery Dharma, which is a Buddhist-based recovery from substance abuse. And I started doing that every evening and meditating with them. And my meditation just kind of progressed and progressed and progressed to the point where I don't feel my body at all, really. I'm conscious of it, but I don't have aches or pains. I can completely shut noise out. Um, and I started developing that kind of spatial consciousness, a bigger space, bigger something than my entity. Um, and so that kind of progressed and progressed to where I discovered your group. And so now something happened the second time I came where it went, you described those levels, right? It kind of jumped almost 2 levels in one evening. I just suddenly felt deeper and deeper and deeper, and I felt joy, tranquility, peace. And that it had already started changing my life up until that point. My beliefs, I don't work in the semiconductor industry anymore. I've got a completely different lifestyle. Um, so my belief system started changing. But now in the last month, I I don't get stressed. A new word was taught to me about 6 months ago, which was impermanence, and that it seems to just ring with every single thought that I have to the point where I bought a new laptop a couple of days ago because I started a new job, and this thing was useless. It wouldn't work. It kept freezing. I asked it to do two things at once, and it would just fail. And normally I would have picked up that laptop and thrown it across the room. Whereas this time I was just like, huh, look at that. Oh well, I'll just take it back and try again. And that seems to be my thought process in everything now. And so the more I come to your groups, it does seem the deeper and deeper and deeper I'm going. And it's like I say, I have a very addictive personality, and that's becoming very addictive. But I can feel it when I'm conscious, when I'm awake. I feel that not the space, but I feel that warmth inside. I feel that I don't need to get stressed about things because everything's going to
Okay.
change.
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
yeah,
Very good.
that's
Yeah.
pretty much
Good.
it.
Good. Thanks for sharing all that.
Yeah,
And yeah, so yeah, addicted, of course, it's a thing. Everybody has some addictions going through, and then so sometimes you can use that as a for your benefit too. So
mm.
this addiction is better, right?
Yeah,
And
oh
then,
yeah,
but yeah, but in the same time, this addiction may be sometimes be bad too, because some people actually go into that and then think that really it is the thing and then go into different routes. But
yeah,
it won't happen once you get that really kind of a different layers of that really the when you explain that, okay, I went couple of steps down, like the layers down, and then it's feel blissful or
mm,
happy. That
hmm,
happiness is not the same like happiness or the blissfulness that really you usually conventionally what we are talking about, right? It's a different kind
yes,
of a soothing
yes,
happiness, right? So that is
yeah,
what it is. So that's the
yep,
kind of absorption. In fact, actually, there are different names for all those things, but we can go to that detail later.
mhm,
And so far, the what we have been doing is actually I'm just trying to give some kind of a insight from the Buddha's wisdom for whatever we are experiencing. So that is what I've been doing this way. I mean, that is what my intent is for this group. Because the whatever the experience that you're getting, of course, it is good. I mean, they give a little bit of a recap of what we are doing. So at the beginning, I actually mentioned about this kind of experience, and of course, especially that Alex and Tiffany, and they were coming up with the experience of that non-self experience. So which is like self experience. That means it's not a self experience. It's not not self experience either. That when I say not self experience, that means that when you have somebody to say this is not that, so there should be a that as well. So if there is a self, only you have not self. But this experience is non-self in the sense there is nothing. So sometimes people call it emptiness, and there are so many different names given to that. But this experience can uh, come through for a fraction of a second for a person. But and then after that, you will get a clear cut or the full confidence of that really, oh, this is that experience that we were talking about. You get that kind of clear cut, the self efficacy, because then only you really realize that we are at dis ease all the time. Now, like what you were saying, that really the other time, if the computer was not running, I would have been really, upset about it. But you're not there. So that means you perfectly realize to some extent, realize that, having all this suffering, that's the usual translation, but I don't like that translation, but it's not suffering. It's actually dis-ease. That dis-ease is not there anymore. So that is kind of you have touched a little bit or some level of extent to some extent that, oh, I don't have to worry about these kind of things. So that is what it is. So that is actually first the discovery Buddha made. And he gave that as the first noble truth, in the sense that is the truth. It's a fact. It's a fact only for the people who have actually experienced that non-self experience, that kind of a phenomena. When they get it, it's kind of a stunning, and then they realize, oh, all this time I have been, in vain. I've been just struggling with these things. So that means that struggle is the disease. That is the dukkha in Pali term. But now you know for sure. Nobody else can say that really that is wrong anymore because you have that experience. So with that, that is concrete in the sense it won't change anyway. And then in the same time, the other aspect of it is that this is the first noble truth that Buddha mentioned. And then he has given this is a fact. This is nothing changing after that. It is permanent. Now, always people have talk about this Buddha's teaching, always talk about impermanence. That is true because he's giving the fact of the conventional fact. Conventional fact is every time it is changing. So that is why it's impermanence. And then even this disease stems from that impermanence. So now what we did was that whoever experienced that non-self experience or the phenomena, for sure, he knows that really, oh, this is the fact. So that's the first noble truth. in the same time that really that person would have that self-efficacy of actually this conventional world which we have been really holding on to is something just arising. It's not a permanent thing, it's just always arising, always arising. That's the second noble truth. He said that, okay, this is arising. And then third noble truth is, of course, you know 100% that this existence can, just separate from you. This already you experience it with the non-self experience. So that's also there. So all those three, the truth, it's been really experienced by a person who has got the non-self experience. But in the same time, he has seen another truth, which is, we call it the path to enlightenment, or the fourth noble truth, which is eightfold path. So that's actually at this particular stage, the person who has, got that non-self experience, he has to guard himself in the sense that not really guarding, actually you have to embrace that eightfold path, that practice. It's actually you will feel that way. You will feel that really you are going in that path, in the sense you will see that really some of those your urges or some of your, longing and all that, it just dies down. It's fading away. Just like the battery is dying down on your smartphone. But it's not, but when it dies down, but your energy, your physical energy is just boosting up. Because that whatever has been disturbing is the one that really dies down. So that is a eightfold path in that sense, because it's a different dimension. Because now the person who has got that non-self experience, he has that kind of a experience going on. So I wanted to make it that clear now, two different, because now I'm into the eightfold path, because I'm just still summarizing what we have been talking about before. So when it comes to the eightfold path, the part that I was just explaining is the most deepest level. A person who had the non-self experience, at least for a fraction of a second, he could embrace, or he could recognize, which is this eightfold path. But before that, Buddha has, when he delivered his first sermon, he started with saying a middle path. That middle path means actually it's the same thing, eightfold path, but it has been kind of a direction for people to come into this non-self experience. So it is for everybody. So those people were, I like to refer to them separately, so then people can have that distinction when we are talking about it. So those people we call as a stream enterer. Stream enterer. So supposing this path and this whole process is a stream, now that person is trying to enter. So he's a stream enterer. So that person has to, these are all these, studies and scholarly things that you can learn, and you can make your life changes little by little, and then come around, and then at the very end of that path, even with this, the eight, or the middle path, I call it, but it's the same thing. All eight factors, or eight sections are there. At the very end, that really it's called samadhi, in the sense that really it's more like meditative absorption. So which you have gone through already. And then with that, you are in that, you may be at a different stage on that level. So in that level, actually, if you go to the deepest level, then you experience that non-self experience phenomenon. So that is the eightfold path on the conventional level. And then after that you experience it, actually now you are going into the more deeper level. So that is why so I have been giving some explanation of that. This eightfold path has three different facets. Before I go further, any questions, or are you familiar with this? Yeah, you're familiar with it. And it has three different facets. One is called actually the wisdom one. And the second, of course, virtue. And the other one is mindfulness. So that is for your benefit. I will share that. very first one, the group A, which is wisdom, and then it's called prajna, but actually we have two different uh, steps in the sense that the non-dual insight and non-dual resolve. We talked about that last time. So you can listen to those the last video and then gets more detail. Otherwise, we will be running short of our time. So that is why I'm going with that. So today I wanted to touch on this virtues facet, where that really it says that really you need to have the non-dual dialogue and non-dual action and non-dual livelihood, in the sense that really this non-duality is that really you are not going to any extreme. That's what it means. So you have that more comfortable lifestyle, livelihood, and you will have a more effective or more result-oriented actions, in the sense that where the result is, of course, that really you're going with that your peaceful life. So that is the non-dual action means. And then the other one, the number three is, of course, the dialogue, in the sense we are actually currently on non-dual dialogues. You all are open-minded, right? And I'm not trying to teach any kind of a religion. Here, the Buddha's teaching is not a religion. It's actually discovery. He himself said this is, don't believe what I'm saying. Just experiment it in you and then realize if it is good, take it. Otherwise, it's okay. It doesn't matter because there is no actual push here. Or that really say that, okay, this is the thing, this is the truth. You have to take. No, don't take it as because of it says. So that is kind of when you say non-dual dialogue is actually at this level, it is kind of a very much of that really you are not even lying to yourself, if I put it in a simple way. So on the other level, that of course stream enterer level, of course it is kind of a discipline. Like any religion is talking about those things, right? Religions, I mean, you have to be faithful, you have to be your speech should be very soft and all that things, and then don't lie, don't try to make some bully people and all those kind of thing. It's kind of that stream enterers aspect of it. But on the stream winner, when I say stream winner, what I'm talking about is that the person who had this experience of non-self, that phenomena, he has already experienced at least for one fraction of a second. That person is called stream winner. So that stream winner would have a different perspective of these three items, because when it's a non-dual dialogue, it is like the four. In a sense, you don't need to kind of cheat yourself either. So I'm talking about very detailed level, like if you have any urges, or if you want to go back to something what you have been doing and the habit. Those things you don't know, even don't try it, because so this is again non-dual, because you don't have to, because you just keep open yourself. It's a so open-minded approach for your speech or your conversation or your whatever you deal with the other people, and at the same time whatever you do for yourself, meditate or anything, whatever you do, at the same time your livelihood, your comfortable livelihood. So that is what all these three. So it's grouped into the kind of a virtue, because that will discipline you in the sense. For stream enterer, it's a discipline, but stream winner, it's kind of a given. You would work that way. It's built into you. Yes,
I'd like to know
Sean.
more about the stream winner. You said that was what it was.
Yeah, stream winner.
So what exactly is that?
Okay, very good. Very good question. Now, when we talk about enlightenment, on any other religion or most of the masters, and even modern day masters like Eckhart Tolle and all those people, they are talking about the enlightenment as the one thing. But in Buddha's teaching, Buddha discovered that it is not kind of a straight away you are getting there, but there is a there are four stages of this enlightenment. That first stage is actually that stream winner. It's been called Sotapanna, or it's actually he has seen the truth for even for a fraction of a second. That's the truth, because that is how this process goes. So that is why he make that as, and then it is called first stage of enlightenment. So this stream winner is the first stage of enlightenment. And then he progress a little bit on this eightfold path. One of the other discovery that Buddha, disclosed was that really our composition as self, our composition is actually about with the 10 fetters I talked about last time too. 10 fetters are like, bondings or like our longing. So those 10 fetters, out of those 10 fetters, the three of them will go away or eradicated once you really experience that non-self phenomena. It's a little technical. I can more clarify those things when the questions comes, because that's the way I think is better to feed into. But anyway, I just for the time being, keep in mind that really once you have that experience of non-self or that phenomena of non-self for a fraction of a second, he actually loses kind of that rough ego point of view. That is why he doesn't, it's whatever happening around there is actually, okay, these are actually the incident. Why I should try to control them? That kind of a sense that comes to them. And at the same time, that person would not, believe on any of those rituals and then thinking that, because that really the whole existence is just, flux. And then why should actually expect something different, like, having some kind of a ritual or anything. And at the same time, you don't have any doubt anymore. The doubt about this existence, because that really you have just passed that. And that experience was so profound, that phenomena is so profound, that. So once that experience is there, that person is called stream winner, because he is now in the stream itself now. So then you will be, going along with the stream and then getting passed through all these different stages, another 2 stages. And then 4th stage is the fully enlightened, in the sense that fully awaken. I use the word awaken, because now you are really totally out of your dream. It's like, you are in a dream, and all of a sudden you realize you are in a dream, but still you are back into the dream because it's so deep dream. And then stage by stage, you are awakening from that dream. So those are the 4 stages of awakening. That is why it's called stream winner. Clear?
Yeah,
Understand?
that makes sense.
That makes sense? Okay, very good. Alex, you want to add anything?
Yeah, sure. So one thing that this was actually something that I had a realization of a few days ago after doing a meditation. I believe this was on Sunday this week, where I was walking around after meditation, and I had a realization that it very much seems as though whatever this deepest level of awareness and what it's hard to use I or myself or a person or anything along those lines, but whatever is controlling my meat suit, for lack of a better way of saying it, it seemed to me that that is something that is ageless and doesn't actually have any real connection to time or anything along those lines. It's really something where your physical body ages, your physical body experiences all of these things. And this deepest level is, although in control, it's more or less just along for the ride. And whether that's in this body or in a different body or whatever it is, the physical body is the thing that has these cravings and is trying to grasp out and have all of these different experiences. But the truest, deepest level is something that it's not related to the body. It's inside. And it's something that is a separate entity, for lack of a better way of saying it, than the physical body itself. It's almost like when I had this experience of non-self, it it's something where I've very much struggled saying that I was in this space or I had this experience, because that doesn't seem like the appropriate way to actually describe it. It's more
Beautiful.
of it's more of that I had a realization of what the self is, and it's a non-self, and this is making sense. I feel like this is very difficult for me to describe,
I understand. I totally understand.
but yeah, so it was very much something where the body and the world that is being experienced is tethered to the physical body, but the awareness and what lies in the inner mechanism isn't that. And it's a fully separate thing. Almost like what I was saying to Grace at the beginning, where I was saying that there's there's a process of when you have a thought, and then there's a short little time span where that thought comes into your head, but then your brain processes it and then relates it and all of that kind of things. It seems like whatever is all the way in the background is the true underlying thing. And it's as though the thought, once it gets into your head, actually is able to process, like a full two-step separation almost.
Yeah. Yeah, very good. So that is kind of a very, very, uh, uh, I would say, impeccable explanation of what this non-self means. Because the very, very crucial or very important part that Alex mentioned was that really it is not an entity. And then he was struggling to say that I experience this. That's a very beautiful expression there, because it's not I experience. It is actually that is why we call it non-self. It's not the self experiencing it. It's actually the some experience, the experience which is not relevant to this conventional world or this existence. So from here, we cannot express it at a level that really anybody in this world can understand. But the people who have been there, they know exactly what he's talking about. I have given a kind of a little example on even the previous, this is a very old example, like, the tadpole in the water who is about to become a frog. But so from the birth, the tadpole was inside the water, like, swimming in the water. But nobody can explain to tadpole that there is a dry land out there because tadpole cannot comprehend it. But once tadpole become a frog, he can get out from the water and then sat on the dry land and then look at, oh, this is a stream running. I was inside that stream. So I'm out there. So that kind of explanation comes with, and then can be correlated or can be really referenced by a person who has really been out there. So that is why sometimes if you try to understand, comprehend by thinking about it, or could be that, it's very difficult, but these simile or the analogy might help you to see that, something that really I should get there and then only get it. So that is what is actually all about, that stream vina, or the actually in Pali word is sotapana, and it is the kind of it is a truth. There is actually a person who has really realized, experienced the first noble truth is the one, the stream vina, because that English translation, English label given to it. So I have to carry on with that because it's been very famous around somewhere. Some people actually may mistakenly taken or mistakenly use that as a stream enterer too. But I want to make that distinction. No, a stream enterer is one who's actually trying to, who's really in the middle path, that eightfold path in a conventional way. But actual stream winner is the one really in the noble eightfold path. Actually, he has given two different names. So this one is noble eightfold path. The other one, the conventional one, is middle path, which has the same eight folds. So you don't have to get that complicated as well. I'm just keeping that for the purpose of people who understand, they can understand it. But in the same time, the answer to that question, Sean, is that really the stream winner is the one who has seen this non-self experience, even for a fraction of a second. Now, when Alex was explaining it, it's not that really he's explaining with the same kind of dense of that experience, but that experience just comes because that when you get that experience, it is like, you are beyond this time and space, this quantum, existence. So it is so profound, and it is so profound phenomena that will stay with you. You don't need to, but once you really connect with back again, here you respond to the things and all that. Like Alex was saying, it is like you're processing it separately, and then it's going out, and then it's kind of that really you are behind the scene. You're just acting on the stage to the others. Okay, this is what this is called. It's not really the acting in the sense that you are responding things. So that is the difference between this experience. So that is why I said that really there are that happens because of that really you have the remaining seven fetters which will keep you in touch with this world, but actually not as much as it used to be. So that's the classification. All right. I hope that you got that perfectly. I'm really glad Alex is here. So then, just not only me, I'm just giving the people have experiences. If Tiffany was there, Tiffany would say the same thing. Sometime even Stephanie was there. She could explain, because I know that she has been there, but in the sense that really she's a little bit going here and there because of that seven fetters. It's still up and down, up and down. You can't just really let go. So that is why this eightfold path is vital for a stream winner as well, because he could really embrace it. So then it won't go up and down like Stephanie is going through. Okay. Any more questions? Any clarification?
Well, one thing I have to add real quick, NT. So I think you described it as the tadpole and the frog. I agree. It's very much something where it comes as a realization, and as soon as you realize what it actually is, there's no more doubt, there's no more questions. It's as though it's not like somebody's given you the answer to something. but it's as though you stumbled upon the answer for yourself. And it's a massive realization that I think is unlike anything that I've ever experienced before.
Very good. Very good. Yeah. That's a very good thing. And if I go along with the same analogy, sometimes this frog might jump into the water and then swim around and then again jump back. But in some cases, I'm just extending that analogy. When the frog go into the water and then go deep into the water, sometimes he forget that really he's a frog anymore. And might just stuck there for a while. Like, that I was just giving a very good example, like, Stephanie. And she's just now struggling to come out because she knows that really she had that whole body and everything appearance has changed. Not a tadpole anymore. It's a frog, but still in the deeper water, struggling to see that really, where am I now? Where am I now? So that won't happen if you really keep that eightfold path or that this kind of discipline, keeping up with your action all the time, meditation all the time, and all that. That won't happen because it will be there all the times, and then you don't go up and down like the graph. But nothing will happen. It's there, but for 100% sure it's there in with you all the time. And it's just like, already you transcend into a frog. So that cannot change anyway, right? It's still there. Sometime it may have behaved differently. That's the problem. That is why this eightfold path, the fourth noble truth, is really vital too. That is why he said that as a fourth noble truth. It's another truth, a fact. Very good. Very good addition, Alex. Not and whatever the experience you are getting is not that really the abnormal or not that really a crazy thing. Like, when Stephanie was explaining this to her friends, people were thinking that, oh, have you taken LSD or something? So they thought that this is different because they don't know how to explain. Now I'm just explaining that these are actually facts. You can experience it, and you will have that. And even I know that I invited that Heidi, the person that I was talking about even last time, because she was in one of my class. I mean, I had a Buddhist teaching class online on a long time ago, about 5-6 months ago. And she was in that class, and then she shared that her experience of the near-death experience. And so I was just wanted to add that to here as well. But since she's not there, so I'll give my own experience. I have said this before as well. When I was about 16, 17 years, actually, I struck by lightning because I was just holding a very thin wire with me in my hand, and then the lightning just absorbed that, and then I was just went through that lightning. I could see that really myself is just shrinking down, and like I'm going into the mother's womb, kind of the way that really I shrinking. I was watching that from outside, from my ceiling, more closer to the ceiling, and then I could see my brother and other people who was listening to the same, because we were listening to the radio drama those days, actually radio. This is 1976 I'm talking about. So and all of a sudden he realized something happened to me, and then he came and then pushed me, or actually hit me, and then all of a sudden I just back in the body. And then I realized that we saw that really there was a zigzag mark in my hand, and then again on the leg, one of the leg that really just grounded. So now see that really, it's not really this body is ours. And that is kind of a, incident that really triggered me to be outside of the body. But in my meditation, all the time, I just go out of the body. And then even right now, I can just feel my body from outside. So it is kind of a thing that the experience is different, and then that kind of experience will trigger people to think about what it is. Now, even that Heidi's case, she wanted to, she has never learned Buddhism or anything. She wanted to learn Buddhism and see what is the relationship between that and this. So the relationship that I wanted to point out is that even that in your death experience, or even if your meditation, if you feel that really your body is there, you are really out of body. Alex mentioned that as well one time. So that means that really there is some hidden thing that really you have to investigate. You have to realize. That's kind of a trigger point. Is the one that really the stream enterer would have as that first step of this eightfold path, that non-dual insight. So that person will have that. That person will get that open-minded approach to this thing and then find out what it is going on. So that's a trigger point for them. But for the stream winner, that is totally different, and it is a profound experience of that phenomena of non-self, and then that gives that separation. Okay, somebody was on the. Oh, Gavin.
Yeah, just a quick question. Since I've had this, want of a better word, shift in my consciousness, I
Mhm.
don't I don't think about um I don't I don't think about making wise decisions anymore, or how I speak, or how I act. It just happens. And without it, it's like the analogy when you're trying to go to sleep and you think about going to sleep, you're never going to go to sleep. And so my shift in my kind of processing, I don't I don't consciously realize that I'm making these choices. It just happens. Does that make sense? And it's not
Yeah,
until I sometimes meditate at the end of the day or just reflect on the day, like yesterday with the laptop. At the time, I didn't even notice my reaction. It wasn't until the end of the day when my partner actually said, "Wow, the old you would have thrown that across the room." I was like, "Huh, yeah, you're
yeah,
right."
yeah.
So it's hard to explain. I can't put it
No,
into
it
words. I
is.
don't consciously think about being a better person or feeling joy or serenity. It's just there.
Yeah,
Does that make
exactly.
sense?
That makes sense. That is why that I said the that stream winner has a different kind of embracement of this eightfold path rather than trying to be there. So that
Mm,
you are just giving that kind of a feedback, saying that I don't have to be there. It's there
yeah.
already, right? Yeah, that's a very good thing. Very good, very good question. I'm very happy, very glad to get that kind of feedback as well.
I have a
Wow.
question, but like I can kind of relate to this experience. Just recently on Saturday,
Mm.
I had a lot of like physical pain and some anxiety coming in, and I ended up going and having an acupuncture treatment, which really helped. And I came home and I turned on one of your meditations, and after, I don't know, maybe about 30 minutes, because I think the timer went off, whatever, I just kind of like laid there and was in my own space. And all of a sudden I started kind of doing some other intuitive movements, and it wasn't me doing it, but kind of how Alex has described this other entity. It was also kind of how Gavin described, where it wasn't something I was mentally choosing, but more so like an innate knowledge that was coming in and just kind of taking over and almost doing like a self-adjustment on on my body. And right after I kind of came to, I popped right back up and I like went out to a concert, and I had no previous feelings that I was experiencing for the like most of the day. So I think I reached some sort of other level over the weekend that's definitely allowed
Improving.
me to experience this physical vessel in a much different way, and then also like partner with it to alleviate some of the pain and strain. So it was a really cool experience.
Very good, very good. That is where that really this kind of progress I can see, because even when we talk about this direct path, of course I always refer to direct path as when you are in one sitting, you could see all the layers going changing and changing. But sometimes people just halfway through just wake up and then they just want to do. In that case, it stay halfway, but still it can, continue. But if you given a long time and then if you engage with something else for a long time and then it might goes away, but if you're keep in touch with that and then repeatedly go into the meditation, that is why that really when I say stream enter a point of view, they have to go through all this, and then sometimes it's really that samadhi, in the sense that really absorption can come in a different couple of days or different time and all those kind of things, and then still you will get there if you are in that path. So that is why it's called middle path. And then in the same time, like what you were saying, Daniel, sometime it would have been that really you have gained to the deepest level, but now only you are really realizing, oh, this is what we are talking about. That is why I'm talking about this, and this eightfold path as a kind of a embracement, rather than you don't have to adhere to that, or you don't have to forcefully do it. You don't need any effort. It's coming through you, and then you can see that too. That is very good too.
Yeah, it's almost like instead of like I had the experience, right? We were saying that earlier. It's almost like just the experience was had. It wasn't
Mhm.
it wasn't me, it was
Yeah.
non-self, every self. It was just the experience was had.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I can remember one time you were saying that really there is nothing or there is everything. It's me, like, that kind of experience. That was another way of explaining that experience of without any entity. So there are some different layers, but I can go into that later. I mean, I'm pretty glad that really you are, in that level too.
Oh yeah, what I've been thinking about during this is just that I have a similar thing of like, yeah, feeling a lot of peace. And it's strange because I feel like I have, when I'm like reading about this and listening to you guys and like even experiencing things in meditation, I feel like I have this very strong sense of like intuitively knowing all of
Mhm.
this. And like I think, yeah, it's strange that like you guys are explaining things that I've never actually experienced before, but it just has this sense of like familiarity to me.
Mhm.
And yeah, I don't think I've ever experienced before like constantly having this strong sense of like into like, oh yeah, that's it, that's it, that's it. Like I feel like I can sort through what is it and what isn't. And it's
Mhm.
just strange to feel, yeah, like maybe I don't know. It feels like I have a sense of what you guys are talking about, but I don't know why because I don't actually have a sense of what you guys are talking
I know.
about.
This is another surprise to me, actually. I can see what you're talking about, because sometimes the with my experience, and of course my upbringing as well, we know that really this is not our lifetime. Actually, we have been in lifetime in a different layer, and then that lifetime we have learned a lot of things, and then still it's lingering underneath us, and then when you hear something matching with that, you light up to say that, oh, this is, I knew that before, right? That
Yeah.
kind of a thing. So that is what is that. I wanted to remind even the Stephanie, if she has been in today, because that day when I was talking about this eightfold path, she asked the question of, is it kind of everything all together, or is just one by one, and that kind of a question. I was really, glad within me, because she's just, identify this as a different way, which is actually the most commonly, most deepest level that really we have been talking. I mean, the from 2,600 years ago, it was presented that way, like, that wheel, Dhamma wheel kind of a thing. So she was just giving the same notion, but from her innate experience. She was saying, couldn't this be all that way, like what you're saying? So those are the things that really the people will taken for granted and then forget about, because of we are a victim of our mind. When you are really, separating from your mind, you will feel that really, oh, this is what it is. Something is there, something is showing to me and all that. And then even Tiffany, on the other day, she was just saying, now I can see that really why I didn't know why I selected this place, Google it, and then selected this place and came down and sat down with you and then get all these things. It happens. How come that happens? And that is the whole uh, the series of things that happening in this world, because there are so many different aspects to this. And so when Buddha has given his teaching, he has given for the people that really who was asked from that particular angle, okay, this is what it is. And this particular angle, this is what it is. Otherwise, the people will get confused with all those things coming up. So that is why I'm trying to carefully introduce these things at a more effective way that you can understand and you can go through. So very good contribution, uh, Grace. Because although you think that really you are in puzzle, actually it is not a puzzle. It'll clear up little by little.
Yeah, like you intuitively know where to go next, you know.
Exactly,
Yeah, you can
exactly.
follow, yeah, you can feel where the right thing is.
Yeah, exactly. That is why you are here as well, because that is where that your things coming on.
I am following, very interested in how these how the path is combined into these three sections that you've described there. I've started reading The Heart of the Buddhist Teaching,
Uh-huh.
and it's good to get some insight from someone like yourself who has a lifetime of experience with this.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah, in
really
fact,
appreciate it.
all right. Yeah, very soon you can read another book, because I'm finishing a book on this all these whatever I'm talking about, because on the different aspect, because most of the books are really written with the scholarly things, but this is my book. The name of the book, you can see that I'm sharing my screen. Can you see?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's in a science, because actually I do see this, whatever the Buddha is teaching is actually is wisdom, is explaining our science in the sense, not our biology, not our engineering, but it is the science of the really how we are made up, because in the sense like he's dissecting all that. But in the sense, same time, there's giving not just only one personality, but actually it's for the whole universe. So that is what it's. I've been explaining. I mean, it's almost done. I just have to finish, and then my target publishing days is April 10th. So probably it'll come out on that day. You can have a look. And so I've talked about so many things of this, what we are talking about right now, but it will be more a practical explanation of this. This is the actual content in the book. So you can see Four Noble Truth at the beginning, and then of course dependent origination, which is very interesting part. I'll go to that later, but you might Google it and see what it is. But then the five aggregation, which is really another good aspect of this, how we can see ourselves in how we are accumulating ourselves, kind of a thing. And then the ancient path is the one that really I'm talking about right now with you guys. That is Eightfold path with that three different facets and five hindrances, another part of it, and jhanas. I know that really even Gavin might have heard about these things before, but it's in a different aspect. I'm giving it a two different category, and the seven and awakening factors, which is aligned with the same thing. We can talk about that later as well. Probably we can go through this book little by little on our discussion. And here's the 10 fetters which I'm talking about. It has two different categories as well. So lower fetters and high fetters, which is more deeper essence. And awakening, where that really I mentioned about this stream winner, once returner and non-returner, and then a rihat, because these are the other categories. I didn't give that name on the other day. Earlier that when you asked the question, I just explained about the stream winner only. And then, of course, I could see that really this whole science is converging with the modern science, in the sense modern science is now taking the steps to understand this, rather than, this is a vast wisdom, which I can, relate to this modern science as well. So that is the whole book is going through.